Hi, everybody. I hope everybody's having a good day. Like I say in all my videos, I'm not responsible if anybody gets hurt, and it's just my opinion today. I wrote down of the top 25 of TV shows I like of all time from the 80s as me as a kid or a teenager in reruns, because a lot of times, when you're a kid, you might not remember. So not any special order, drum roll. Oh, and if you like this uh, YouTube video, please subscribe and do a thumbs up. And if you have any favorite TV shows from the 80s, let me know, and maybe we could rap. Number one was Family Ties. Michael J. Fox, before he became famous, before he did Back to the Future movies and became a movie star. And then that was a comedy drama. I think it was on NBC. Came out, I think, 81 or 82 to 88 or 89. And then Growing Pains, that was with Kim Cameron. I personally don't like him because it's politics, but we're not going to go there. So that took place in, I think, 83 or 84, and that was till the 90s. I think that was on ABC. All of these, I don't know if I got the right station, but this is before they had all the other stations like Fox and everything. In the late 80s, Fox did start, but Hill Street Blues, that was like in the beginning of the 80s. That was a cop drama, and sometimes it was funny, about cops. I'm not sure if it was in New York or Chicago, I forget, or Boston. St. Elsewhere, I think it was from the same director and writer as Hill Street Blues. That was in a hospital. But if you want to do all these shows, you would have to look on Prime or Netflix or YouTube, or buy them on Etsy or eBay or Amazon if you can get them. I know Hill Street Blues you can, but St. Elsewhere only had the first season. Designing Women, that was a comedy. I think that was on CBS, which was funny about a woman who from the Studebaker, a woman who was a widow with her three-time divorced Delia Burke was in it. An all-star cast. It was really funny about people starting a business, designing homes and, fashion people's houses in the South. So that was great. That was during the 80s. And I think it ended during the 90s. I like Facts of Life. Take the good, take the bad. What do you get? The Facts of Life. It started actually in 79, but it came all the way to the 88. It's about an all-girls school, and originally they had 8 girls, but then they cut down it to 4 girls. Blair was the spoiled rich girl. Tootie was the black girl. And Natalie was the comedian who joked around, didn't take life too serious. And Joe was the tough girl, tough girl from the wrong side of the streets in New York. I like the Golden Girls. Thank you for being a friend. It was about old women in Miami Beach, living in a house. A woman moves in with her daughter, who's a divorced woman, widow Sophie, and all the girls from Golden Girls. Albert and Siskel, the person from PBS, where you go thumbs up or thumbs down for movies. I used to love that show. It came out in the 70s, but I watched it in the 80s, where they criticized television shows, which is the best television of the year, what's the worst, what's the dog, and then they would have a dog that would jump on the couch next to them, and that's the dog of the year. So it was kind of cute. I love that. I like MacGyver. The guy he wasn't originally from. I think he was from General Hospital. Richard D. Anderson, and he was in other shows. He played a FBI or CIA agent that could make something out of nothing, like something with a gun wrapper, and he was an agent. That was in the 80s. the Friday and Saturday night at the movies where you could watch a movie that, yes, sorry. The Friday and Saturday night at the movie where you could watch a movie from, you know, from the movie place instead of, you know, going to Blockbuster. I'm going to make a video about, you know, places where you got, you could get movies from. I'll talk about Blockbuster and those videos some other time. So Friday night and Saturday night, you know, you could stay home with your friends or family members, have popcorn and a soda, and watch the recent movie that you liked. Silver spoons, here we are, couple of silver spoons. Ricky Schroeder was in that. He was a kid when he was 12 years old. He was looking for his father, who was a rich guy who was more like a kid, you know. That was great. Silver spoons. Too Close for Comfort. I love that. That was the early 80s with a father who's kind of conservative, lives upstairs, and his two daughters live downstairs, and eventually his wife gets pregnant in her 40s, late 40s, and has a baby, a boy. So that was on for a while. I liked it. I like Give Me a Break. I like that. Nell Carter was a woman who was with the man, with what's his name, I forget, Carl, and raising his three daughters in some part of California in the 80s, and the youngest one was Samantha, and you know, and then Joey from, you know, from other shows from Blossom. That's going to be on my list too. Give Me a Break. Night Court. I love Night Court. It took place in New York in the early 80s, where Rob T. Stone was the judge. He was like a big kid, and he liked magic. He was a comedian, and he became a judge for, you know, small claims court. And John Appicut was a sleazy guy who was a womanizer. And so it was a great show from the 80s to the 90s. I liked that. And people's career, you know, blossomed. Miami Vice, Don Johnson. I like him. He plays Crockett and Tubbs. One was a black detective. One was, he was a divorced guy with a kid in the pilot. So that was good. Miami Vice. And Magnum P.I. I loved Magnum P.I. That was, yeah, that was a great show where it took place in Hawaii. I'm trying to remember his name is. I'm not good with names because I have ADHD. But anyway, that was a great TV show. Magnum P.I. Yeah, that was a great show. He's a detective with his friends. Rick, I think his name was Rick. His friend was Rick. That's Michaela. She's coming to visit. Simon and Simon, two brothers who are, I think they're supposed to be fraternal twins, and they're from California, and the detectives, one lives on a boat who was in the Vietnam, and the other brother, who is a straight-laced guy who wears a suit, and they do crime. I love the a lot of these are comedies, and a lot of them are dramas. Heat of the Night. I loved Heat of the Night. That took place in the South. Again, sorry, I'm just kidding around. Not making fun of anybody. I'm just using a Southern drawl. So that was in the 80s about, you know, what was his name? The guy who was in All in the Family. Yeah, I liked All in the Family too. That was from the 70s into the 80s. And I like Knight Rider. Who wouldn't like Knight Rider? I like Knight Rider. Down Michaela. Knight Rider, about the car that could talk. and Dukes of Hazzard. I love the Dukes of Hazzard. You know, Good Old Boys. I know that took place in the late 70s, but it was through the 80s, so I like the Dukes of Hazzard. I'm thinking of, is there any other ones that I like? Oh, Dynasty. Honorable mentions is Dynasty and Dallas. Even though I think Dynasty was in the beginning of the 80s with an all-star cast, the Cassadines. They lived in Colorado, and they did drill oil and stuff. I love that. And Lexus Carrington, who was married multiple times, and the all-star cast was great. I like Dallas, you know, J.R. and the Ewing brothers against the other people, you know. I like Dallas. That was on for a long, I think that was on for 8 or 9 seasons. It started in the, I think, 80 or 81, and it was on CBS. So I loved Dallas. Dallas was a great show. I like these nighttime shows. I was not interested in Knots Landing. It was okay. That was an autumn. I thought, I didn't really watch. I like Falcon Crest too. That's another one that I liked, was Falcon Crest. When it was in California, where they owned a what is it? A wine and how I think that was in the 83 or 84 I came out. So I love that. You know, there was a lot of good shows back in the 80s, you know. You can think back a lot of, like I said, a lot of them you probably could look it up on YouTube or Etsy or eBay, maybe, if they have it. I don't know about that, but I know definitely Amazon might have some of these ones. And Alice, I liked Alice too. That was a good one, even though that was the late 70s, but it went through the 80s. I go through shows from the 70s into the 80s too, because, you know, that's what it is. So I really enjoyed all these shows, you know. Makes you think about your childhood, you know, you know, you know, things were more a simple time, you know, you could walk home without having someone, you know, you could be, you know, like that. So into my next video, I hope you like this video. There might be some shows that I forgot that I used to like. Oh yeah, and the TV show V. I almost forgot. Even that was only on for 1 season. I liked V, and I like the miniseries too. So all these. So if you have any that you want to write down that I might have forgotten, like I said, or that you liked, please write down and tell me what ones you liked. Into my next video. Bye-bye and take care.